Hello, in this screencast we're going to look at how you can interact with the map, what other things I could do. So basically, as we have seen, to outline a marker on the map, we need to know the latitude and longitude of that point, right? So basically there is a concept. If you look at the Google documentation for Google Maps, the next thing they want to talk about is reverse geocoding. So basically, it refers to the conversion of a location geographic coordinates into human readable street address. That's reverse geocoding. So basically, you have an address, say for example, Walgreens on Main Street, for example. Okay, so that's an address, but that's just an address. Basically, I want to go from an address to a lat long. So you just use reverse geocoding. The opposite, which is called geocoding, is when you have the XY coordinates or the lat long and you want to find out what is this address, which is geocoding. Okay, so basically there is a service that Google provides and you could use that service and so on. So how would I find out more about the service? I need, of course, if you want to use a service, you need to include a specific API. So I go back here to my dashboard in my console.cloud.google. I make sure that I'm in the same project and I can click on enable. Actually, if we go back, they show you, if you go back here, they show you other APIs that are out there, So basically, let's say you want the geocoding API. So basically, we enable services, and then I will just say geocoding. And you could see here that I have a geocoding API. I can just enable it, and I'm good to go. Okay. So basically, you just have to read its documentation to find out more about it and so on. So I'm not going to talk about, if you click here, it will show you how to use the that API. And the geocoding is basically you call it using, for example, here you say geocode and you provide an address. Say for example the address is this location, and then you provide your API key here, and it will give you back a JSON, and you have to parse that JSON to retrieve back the XY or the lat long. Okay, so basically it gives you the lat long of the location. So it's very straightforward. It's very easy to use. It's an API, but for that you need an API key, and basically once I enable it, I get an API key. Okay, so that's the geocoding. The other interesting thing is that what we did is we added a marker, so which is pretty straightforward. We did that to add the marker, and we added the marker here. Okay, good. So now what we can also do, something also interesting to do, is that there is a lot of you could change the controls of the for example, I could show the compass to show my current location. But to enable locations, we'll have to look at location services, and we don't have the location services enabled, and that's going to cause an issue. But for example, I could show also floor plan, map gestures. You can also make it satellite mode and so on. I'll leave you to look more at this and to see if you can set it up and so on. So basically, these are very, very simple features that you can add to the map. So let's say, for example, we want to zoom in, zoom out. So basically, we look at this camera and camera view, but let's say look at events. For example, what if whenever I click, I want to create I want to know that the user has clicked on the map. So basically there is a map view delegate that we need to implement, and that map view delegate will have a function. So if you click on the map view delegate, okay, here it is, and you can see that one of them is going to be did tap at coordinate and so on. Okay, so basically, does that make sense? So basically when you tap at a location, I can find out where you tap, and I can just add a marker at that place and see, for example, did drag marker. So basically, if the user dragged the marker, you could also catch it. Pretty interesting. So basically what we could do is you set up a delegate. Okay, here it is, the delegate. Okay, we go back. So basically I can go back here and I just create an extension view controller, and I create the delegate, and you can see that I can add some methods here. For example, I could say did tap my location button, or did click on something. Let's see which one. Map view, here it is. Okay, did drag, so I'm looking for more of the map view ones. Map view, did move, did drag, did tap, here it is. Okay, did tap, did tap in window, did tap at. So basically that's the one I'm looking for. Did tap at a specific location, here it is. and click on print, and I print that location, which is the coordinate that you clicked on. So let's run it again. So basically, for me to use that, I have to tell that the map view that the delegate is this, right? Self.mapView delegate equals self, right? So let's change the name of that map view so that at least it refractor rename, and I am going to change the name to map view so that it just matches. Okay, let's run it, because there was a mistake here, there was an E missing. Okay, so let's run it. So now every time I tap, I'm gonna get a message. Okay, here it is. I did tap here, did tap here, did tap here, did tap here. Very straightforward, see? So now all I could do is that every time you tap, I can add a marker. To do that is also straightforward. I'll just copy this code. Okay, that marker doesn't need an information window and so on. I'll just, here is the marker. The position is the coordinate that we receive. So basically you got that. I'll say coordinate. And I'm not gonna add, I keep it Charlotte, North Carolina, and then the map is equal to map. So basically when you run it, now what's gonna happen is that every time I tap, it's gonna create a marker. Let's see. Okay, here we are. You see, every time I'm tapping on the screen, it adds a new marker. Straightforward, easy, and so on. Okay. So what if I want to delete all the markers and then add that marker only? So what I could do is I could come here, I could say self.mapView.clear. So basically that clears all the markers, and then it will add that marker. So that's straightforward. Run it again. So we can clear all the markers and then add a marker. Cool. So run it again. Here it is, and I click on a marker, it cleared the markers, and then I added another marker. So basically, you can explore that. It's a canvas that you can use to do multiple things. One of the other things, for example, so this is the events. You can look at the events. You can also change the camera position, and they show you how to do that. Okay. So we looked at markers. You can also draw polylines, maybe a path. For example, there are shapes, there are polylines that you can draw, which is a path. You can create a path, and then you add the path to the map. And it's also very straightforward. You just create a polyline, and then you set it up. Say, for example, what if every time I click, I want to add to the polyline and then refresh the list? It's also very simple to do. Okay, and you set up the stroke color for it, the width of it, and so on. And here it is. Create a polyline, add the points to the polyline. And then you create a mutable path so that you can add stuff to it, and then you create a polyline object. Okay, and then you just make the polyline object dot map equal to the current map that you have, and then it will appear on the map. Very simple, very straightforward of how to use it. There are other new things that you can also look at, but it's very straightforward how to use the map. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.